Well, I posted 2 emergency podcasts with a man named Andy Scheckman. And Andy is really tuned in. I mean, he'd be a good person for you to interview. But he talks about what I call the Biden crime family. You know, they're ESG, environmentally, social, and governance and all this stuff. We're going communist, and they do it via our money. And so Andy we were talking about just recently, Janet Yellen, you know, she was a Fed chairman, and now she's Secretary of Treasury. Isn't that conflict of interest? That's fascism. You know, if you understand, fascism is when a public institution is run by the government. And when you think of all these things they don't teach you in school, I'm going, holy mackerel. But what Janet Yellen just said is from now on, she will decide. The Fed and the FDIC and her will decide which banks live and die. She will decide. If that isn't 100% Marxism, and she's a college professor too. And you look at the guys fighting back, Brian, like Jordan Peterson, he's a college professor, but he's fighting back against Marxism. But unfortunately, as you know, somebody once said, nobody ever went broke, underestimating the taste of the American public. You know, nobody ever got stupid trying to elevate human Americans who aren't the brightest guys on earth, who make a lot of money because we're the reserve currency of the world. But those days are coming to an end. The Chinese yuan and the BRICS nation, you know, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now Saudi Arabia. And then Mexico is going to join the BRICS, and Japan's going to join the BRICS. We're toast. We're toast. The American dollar is gone. America crashes. We become a third world puppet state.
And what happens for the rest of the year when it comes to inflation in the U.S.? Is the Fed going to hike rates again? Again, a lot of people were saying you cannot raise rates again. One of the reasons Silicon Valley Bank collapsed was because of this massive rate hike. We've never seen anything like this in history, I think, of such a quick rate hike. Obviously, they got imbalanced assets on their balance sheet, couldn't, make their capital calls. And then the Fed went and increased another quarter. They could do that going forward. I think you've said this on the show, and I've had other guests that say, like Jim Rickards, have said that the Fed funds rate has nothing to do with inflation. That's a supply chain issue. That's other issues. So they're turning this knob over here to say that we're changing this over here, and there's no correlation. It's like the button's not even connected. So how does this play out, do you think? Are they going to keep raising rates and keep sending everything down the drain?
Well, again, it's history. History is his story, and I was a history nut. But you go back upon what was Biden's first move? His very first move as president, he cut off the Keystone XL pipeline that ran oil from Canada to America. I'm into oil. I don't buy stocks, bonds, or mutual. I touch nothing paper. That's just my MO, my shtick. So I was selling oil when Trump was president. I was selling oil at $30 a barrel, and my oil came from North Dakota, Louisiana, and Texas. So I'm selling oil at $30 a barrel. I'm happy. I'm making a decent profit. I get tax breaks for selling oil. And the moment that was his first act, oil went from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel. Biden, the people's president. He's the biggest criminal I've ever seen. So I immediately, when he did that, because I'm an oil guy, I used to work for Standard Oil of California. I drove oil tankers up and down the West Coast. The moment he did that, I said, they're going to crush the middle class. So Biden's first act was to crush the middle class, because I could see some soccer mom standing there next to her Lincoln SUV, pumping gasoline. I don't know how much it is a gallon, because it doesn't make any difference to me, because I'm getting richer. I almost voted for Biden after that. I mean, when my oil went from $30 to $130 a barrel, I said, oh, wow, I'll vote for you. But I know he's crushing the middle class, and that's what leads to communism. So he's crushing the middle class, and then they say, well, it's Russia that's screwing up the oil. No, you did it, you idiot. Then he opens up the southern border, and fentanyl pours across, and that causes homelessness. As if we haven't got enough, because they can't function on drugs. Then he took us out of the, Afghan war, and Saudi Arabia said, screw you to America, and said, we're joining the BRICS. So this whole thing right now is being coalesced around a thing called the gold-backed Chinese yuan and the BRICS nation. And the BRICS nation is going to be about 70% of the world's population will now be using the gold-backed Chinese yuan, which means the US dollar is toast. As you know, Brian, 1944 was when the US dollar became the reserve currency of the world. And we violated that in 71 when Nixon took us off the gold standard. When you look at this coin right here, this here is a John F. Kennedy 1964 silver coin. That was the last year America's coins were silver. So in 64, Johnson, president, took the silver out of this coin and it became a base currency, debased it. And after that, they could print as much money as they want. And our school system, we're a bunch of communists anyway. He keeps saying, go to school, work hard, save money, pay your taxes, invest in a well-diversified portfolio, stock bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. What happened in 74 was that was a year that the ERISA came out, Employee Retirement Income Security Act. Today is called the 401k or IRA. And that's why I wrote this book here, Who Stole My Pension? You look at the rioting going on in France today, it's pensions, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah.
Small ebook, big impact, the wealth tree. The only 4 ways that will make you financially free forever. Download it here for free.